Welcome to the Nightly Rant. I'm Mike.
And I'm Torya.
This is the show where we talk about the awful things that have happened in our day, the awesome things that have happened in our day,
and all the things in between.
Thanks for listening, and we truly hope you enjoy. So people usually can't tell when we record what we record. I guess sometimes we give little things away, but usually they can't tell when we record these things.
Right. Sometimes we accidentally Sunday at them, but
we record these ahead of time and then put them out. And I keep the order exactly what the order is as they're recorded. I don't think I've ever switched the order, at least not on purpose. I might have accidentally done it, but I just release them in the order that we do them.
Right, which makes sense.
What's important about that is you're never going to find yourself in a situation where we mention something that had you listened from the beginning, you wouldn't already know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've rearranged a couple because they just made more sense in that order, but...
Well, like I told you, one thing that I have done recently is I save snippets that are like maybe a minute or two long, but are kind of off topic. It's usually stuff at the beginning of the show, like...
Or at the very end, I would guess.
Yeah, and I'll pull it out, and I save it in a directory with a name and a kind of topic. Then when I get a podcast that's only like 13 minutes long and I want to beef it up a little bit, I throw one or two of those in there.
Makes sense.
And then, that's pretty much... And I throw them at the end. So they're kind of like bonus material. That's how I kind of look at it. So you're still hearing the conversation, the way the conversation was meant to be had.
Right.
Then you're getting a little added content in there before you get the second part of it. It's kind of like our life turned into episodes.
Right.
But
which is kind of freaky.
We're going to give something away because otherwise what I want to bitch and moan about, which is what I'm going to do tonight, is bitch and moan. Not so much rant as bitch and moan.
Okay.
It's election night.
Well, we'll have more election night to talk about tomorrow, because really the local results just started to come in.
But it's election night.
And I'm going to have some things to say about the local results, I feel.
It's election night right now. And first thing I'm going to say is exactly what I posted on my Facebook status. I don't see any wave. I don't see a blue wave. I don't see a red wave. I just see turbulent water on both sides.
Right.
And it's sad and disheartening because, frankly, from my perspective, I was hoping that one side or the other would win convincingly. Because if one side or the other won convincingly, the side that won could stand up and say, see, country wants you to come this way.
Well, then looking at the early results, the things that aren't finished recording are like 50-50. They are so close that I don't think your almost always completely correct prediction of the early results are the final results works this time. Because
not for local.
Because especially in the district attorney... No, that's not what I meant. I meant the Rohrabacher, Harley Rhoda. It's 50-50. There's no 50.1 to 49.9. It's 50 to 50.
Yeah. But Rohrabacher has more votes, and that's who would win.
Right. But that's only the initial results. That could flip-flop easily. There was only 80 votes in between them.
Well, remember, this is exactly how Rhoda got into this position, was by taking second place in the primary from Hans Kierstead, who was winning for a long, long time. And then his lead shrunk and shrunk and shrunk and shrunk, and then the next thing he was in third place.
Right.
And Rhoda, I don't remember how close it was, but it was close. That election was close.
Well, and I remember it was the other dude on election night when we went to bed.
Yes, and the next day.
And then it switched to Harley Rhoda, and then it switched back, and then it switched again, and it switched back, and it switched again, and it switched back. until the election was finalized, and he didn't win by very much.
Yeah, it was super duper close. It was a battle all the way through.
Well, there's finally election results in Los Angeles County.
And that's what's happening right here.
Right.
But here's what's disconcerting. So you got a local ballot measure that, you know, I have some vocal opinions on because of my connections with the school district and the community and things of that nature.
Right.
And so I became a vocal proponent because I felt like those opposing it were doing so with nothing but conjecture.
Okay.
And I always feel like, I can sit here and say, well, people like Victoria because she's smart, she's funny, and she's sarcastic. And then someone else might say,
I think sarcastic is why people dislike it.
Well, no. But I was going to say, and then people could turn that around and say, well, no, I agree with you that she's smart, funny, and sarcastic, but that's exactly why people don't like her.
So if I was dumb, boring, and monotonous...
But my point is, you got
like
same traits, two completely different viewpoints. Well, in politics, people tend to agree on the issues. Yeah, we need to fix healthcare. Now let's talk about whose fault it is or how to do it.
Right. And the placing blame...
is the problem.
Why do you need to?
Yeah, how about we just figure out why the problem exists?
Like the gate I currently have locking the dogs into the dining room. If it would kept falling over, do I need to blame you because it's falling over? Do you need to blame me because it's falling over? No.
No, just need to solve the problem.
Exactly. Get up and fucking fix it. Which I did. P.S. with a trash can.
Yeah, you just solve the problem.
Right.
You have to figure out a way to solve the problem. That's what's important.
Right.
But what do people do?
They blame each other. Instead of putting their energy into solving the problem, people just yell and scream about how it's blah blah blah's fault. No, it's your fault. No, it's your fault.
So
shut up, people.
So if you were a concerned citizen in the community,
mm-hmm.
and you were truly concerned about the community, so you say.
So I say.
And then people see that you spend, I don't know, 2 complete days out of the last 3 days personally attacking someone who has done nothing but be vocal in favor of a measure.
Correct.
And you had to go back 10 years to find a mistake that was made.
Okay.
You attempt to question the biography of the person, but when you compare the biography from 10 years ago to the biography this past year, the only difference is what happened in that decade.
Correct.
Okay? Like, that's literally the only difference.
Add 10 years to the amount of experience you have and change some personal things. Exactly.
Right. Exactly. I mean, that's really all that happened. And that's proven. Okay? So, like, point being, there was a mistake made.
Right.
And I get attacked for that mistake being made.
Right.
And why? If you're so concerned about the community, why didn't you spend that time that you were working on editorializing that content? Why didn't you work on getting the message out to the community?
The time and effort that was spent on that bullshit should have been spent on attacking your facts or coming up with facts that support their side of the issue. One of those two things. Both of those are mildly reasonable.
Well, right,
the second more reasonable than the first.
You make a great point, though. You know, people tend to assume that they have the facts and their opponent is just giving an opinion. That's a normal thing to think about. But the reality is, it's possible for both sides to have facts. Because, you know what? Maybe they're right. Maybe it would increase the traffic.
Right.
At the schools during pickup and drop-off. You know what? I even agree with them. That's probably true. I agree. That's a fact that's on their side of the argument. But then a fact that's on my side of the argument is that it is not likely that those 40 homes, or even the 1,100 down at the racetrack, when that eventually happens, it is not likely that those are going to increase the number of students in the district so much that it's going to tax the district. In fact, they're already planning how to get money to modernize the school that they would open should that happen. And that's another reason why people are pissed off at them. It's not the school certain folks would like it to be.
Well, and then also, let's not forget that the 1,100 homes that they're still pissed off about from June aren't in the Cypress School District. Only a piece of them are. The rest were in Los Alamitos School District.
I think that changed with Measure A.
Did it? Ah, I see.
Because I
well,
think
they already said they're preparing to open a school, so I guess it's
they adjusted
irrelevant.
where the people were so that they wouldn't have that issue of splitting it between two places. Because then it's kind of like this Measure M thing. It's unfair to La Palma and Buena Park residents.
Right.
Because they are affected by the two things.
Right.
But they're not allowed to vote.
Which seems absolutely asinine. I mean, if you live in the Cypress School District, then you should be able to vote in the Cypress School District issues, regardless of the fact that you live in Cypress or not. Because
100% agree.
Because, okay, for the Orange County Supervisor race, Buena Park is split in half-ish. Garden Grove is split in half. Fountain Valley is split in half. Like...
Fountain Valley split into thirds, actually.
3 people have part of Fountain Valley? Okay.
Yep.
But, okay, so if that can happen, and that's reasonable, why can't everybody who lives within the boundaries of Cypress School District be able to vote on measure concerning Cypress School District? It makes no sense that they can't.
Especially since, here's the thing, those kind of things don't happen all that often.
Right.
So, with that in mind, how difficult is it to accommodate that once in a while? I would say 0. And especially, you know what, if you're really truly trying to get at the truth
right.
of what the people actually want. Because think about it this way. What if it loses by 100 votes? And let's say there's 700 voters in La Palma.
Right.
And let's say they're 90% in favor of it.
And
That's about 650 that are in favor of it and 50 that are opposed. Guess what? It wins. And it wins based off of that.
If I were those voters in La Palma, I would be freaking pissed.
Because you don't get a say.
Right, and it's ridiculous.
Yet, the outcome directly affects your children.
Exactly. And that's why I think it should be if the school district is not going to follow city lines, then it shouldn't be based on what city you live in that you vote on it. It should be based on where you live. Just like Board of Supervisors race is.
Agreed.
Clearly they can do it in some situations, so they should be able to do it in this one too.
Agreed.
Do people on La Palma get to vote people onto the Cypress School Board?
Yes.
Well then, that just proves my point.
That it can be done, yeah, of course. I told you, when I ran for school board, I had a campaign in La Palma.
That's just your... Jesus, dude.
At least one of the current board members is from La Palma.
Which makes sense, given that there's a sizable chunk of people from La Palma in the Cypress School District. You know,
that's how he got on the board, was that he brought with him the backing of La Palma because he fought. One of the schools that they were going to close was the one in La Palma, and he fought hard for them to keep that open.
You know what would solve the problem?
So that's why they brought him on the board. They appointed him.
You know what would solve the problem? If they didn't call it Cypress School District. Centralia School District, there's not a city called Centralia. Right. It's Buena Park, Buena Park, Stanton, La Palma, pieces of things. You could even call it CLBP School District. Cypress. Right. CLPBP. I think if it was...
School District or something like that. Just use the initials of the cities.
I think by calling it Cypress School District, they forget that there are people in other cities that are part of the school district.
Exactly.
I think they get skipped, and not even on purpose.
No, exactly. It's slanted.
But if Joe Blow from La Palma can elect somebody to the Cypress School Board,
then they should definitely be able to vote on this.
Exactly.
And I guess where my...
But I don't get an opinion in La Palma because I don't own a home there. I know this already.
But I guess where my frustration goes still is at why somebody who believes that their viewpoint is correct would resort to personal attacks.
Because they can't think of anything better to do. They're not bright enough to come up with the facts against it. So, instead of coming up with facts against it, they're attacking you. I also just learned something very interesting about the city of Cypress. The median age of the people here is 16% higher than the rest of the state of California.
Yeah, I know that.
How many kids do they really expect?
This makes me mad. I post on here, seems to be no wave at all. We continue to be split. And someone says, it was a wave in the House. Well, yeah, they gave up the House, but they gained more control of the Senate. Okay? So
they didn't...
The blue wave, what they were talking about in the blue wave is we're going to take the Senate and we're going to take the House and we're going to take all these governorships, et cetera. So it's going to be a blue wave across the whole country.
Right.
Well, you've seen the maps that they posted, the blue things, right? Yeah, well,
yes.
That doesn't mean whoop-de-doo we're going to take the House. That means we're going to sweep across the country with the blue color.
Right.
So what is the person doing? Redefining what blue wave means.
I'm sorry,
and
but
it makes me angry. Well, but here's the thing. Think about it. It's so illogical to do that. Anybody who's ever played sports, raise your hand. I'm going to wait for you to raise your hand. I've played sports. Hell, the dogs have played sports. Okay, good. Now we've seen who's played sports, pretty much everybody. When you play sports, let's say you're playing hockey. Since you're Canadian. And the dogs have never played hockey, so they can stay out of it. But anyway, let's say you're playing hockey.
I'm very bad at hockey.
And you start off with the normal rules that, you're shooting at that goal over there on the right, and I'm shooting at the goal on the left.
Seems legit.
But then you shoot into the goal on the left, and we change it to when it goes in the goal on the left, it's for me. So I just got a goal. How pissed would you be that we changed the rules in the middle of the game?
I would pretty much punch a bitch.
And that is what's happening. They want to change the rules in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to redefine what it means. Then I can claim that it happened. Doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way.
I just looked again, and now Gavin Newsom has taken the lead.
Of course. He's going to win.
So this is only 16% reported.
Don't forget, though, you're only seeing... not seeing...
I looked at the statewide
one? Okay, because...
I have 3 tabs open.
I've fallen into that trap before where I'm watching the Orange County results for a bunch of other things, and I keep going, oh, look at Governor. Oh, my God. How in the hell is this happening? The Republican is killing the Democrat. Well, and then you go, but that's not what the news just said.
I have to say that might have been what I did the first time.
Oh, when you thought Cox was winning? Yeah.
Because he is in Orange County.
Oh, yeah. And he will win in Orange County.
Right.
That's the thing.
But it looks like Newsom is like 56-44.
Yeah, he's going to. He made it a race more close than people thought.
Right.
I mean, Newsom...
I'm sure it'll still fluctuate
Newsom has been the chosen one for a lot of years. He was
really
the mayor.
Annoying.
He was the mayor of San Francisco. He was the one who initially started allowing same-sex marriages and just like, F you, federal government. You say it's not allowed. Well, F you. We're going to do it anyway. And then he became the lieutenant governor. And, he was being groomed for the governorship. I mean, that's just how it is. And in California, the Democrats have an advantage. And I also think that in these midterms, the Democrats have a slight advantage. I think more of them were energized to come out and vote. In fact, I will tell you that in 2016 presidential election, I saw more Republican friends telling people to get out and vote than Democrat friends. The Democrat friends thought they had it tied up because, Hillary was going to waltz into the White House.
I don't know who's who. Like, some people are obvious. Like, your friend, whose kid is also in track.
Yes.
But some people, like the owner of the 3 Chihuahuas, I have no idea. No idea.
Oh, I do.
Well, that's because you're you.
Well, I'm very observant about stuff like that, and I can definitely tell you.
Maybe I just don't care. Maybe that's the thing. Because I really don't care what political party some people, anybody is, really. I don't care. I don't care what party you are.
I don't care either, but that's not the point. The point is, it comes down to voter turnout. It always comes down to voter turnout, because we truly are a divided country. So it comes down to voter turnout. And if you live in California, there are more Democrats.
Right.
So if there's going to be an increase in voter turnout, it is likely going to be an increase in the number of Democrat voters, which means Democrat candidates have an advantage because many people vote party line. That's why, think about this, to make it easier, they have, in some states, I can't think of the exact term they use, but they call it like full ticket voting.
Okay.
Where all you have to do is check a single box. And it says all the Republicans I'm voting for them.
That's the most... that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Sorry, I didn't want you to have to edit out what I was about to say.
But do you see why that's so bad?
Because something like that would elect that stupid dude who I were talking about earlier, who tried to interact with you on Instagram.
The
racist dude.
Holocaust denier.
That said loudly that all Jewish people were rats. That dude would get elected if people voted like that bullshit.
Yeah, and it's an option. You're not forced to vote that way. But
if you give people the option, they will.
I had a roommate, and back then it was a big deal, like a common thing. You'd always get, we're the Democrat Party of the United States of America, and here's our voter guide for the current election. And it would have everything on there. Here's who you should vote for president. Here's who you should vote for your congressman. Here's who you should vote for your 2 senators.
Right.
Here's who you should vote for governor and lieutenant governor, and this one and this one and this one. Oh, and here's the propositions. Oh, yeah, and by the way, because you live in, Buena Park, here's where you're going to vote.
Okay.
Oh, and here's your polling place.
Well, that's kind of nice.
And then the Republicans would do the same thing.
Okay.
Well, had a roommate who was hardcore Republican. He used to say, I don't pay any attention to the stuff that goes on. I just get that guide from the Republican Party and I take it with me to the polls, and that's how I vote. A person like that is why they designed that shit. Because he would have just had to walk into the election booth, click Republican, all Republicans down ticket, handled.
But by doing that, they encourage people to vote that way.
Agreed. The only thing he would have had to vote on is the propositions. They would never, ever do that.
Why? The Republican Party feels one way about them and the Democrat Party feels the other way about them.
Don't care.
Interesting. Then there are the people who just vote incumbent for everyone and no on every proposition. Or yes on every proposition.
Exactly.
What the fuck kind of loon bag are you?
And that's why, there are people who... I have to read this book that someone posted on my wall. She's a very smart, intelligent woman that is like a social media influencer that's been around. I found her on Twitter and followed her over on Facebook. And she kind of disappeared for a while, and she must have had personal issues, and she's resurfaced. She's very, very smart. She's like your age. She's so... in tune. Sometimes she's a little...
It's rare, isn't it?
What?
It's rare, isn't it?
Yeah, well, but sometimes she's a little too radical one way or another. It's not real consistent, but I like that. That's the point. When you're not super consistent, it means you're walking to the beat of your own drum. You're figuring things out yourself, and I like that. I like that. And so there's all that, right? And then she's one of those people that, like, she's blonde one time, and then she has purple hair another time, and she has red and purple hair, and she has blue hair, etc. You know, one of those people. And so that's interesting to me too, because I like people like that too, because again, they're saying, you know what, I might not be the most confident person in the world, but I'm going to just wear my hair how I want, and I'm going to have my opinions that I have, and you're going to like me, you're not going to like me, and guess what? If you like me, that's great. But I'm not going to say whether I care or I don't care if you don't like me, because it doesn't matter. If you don't like me, you don't like me. Oh well.
Right.
I'm not going to lose sleep over that. I mean, there's just no point. And I have a similar attitude to that, so I'm impressed by that. But anyway, she made this big point about how people need to vote this way. And I thought, no one should ever say to somebody, you must vote this way.
You shouldn't have that influence over another person.
You're giving away, and that's the thing. That's why I don't like the whole down ticket voting thing. Plus, it's a huge, you're further disenfranchising voters because it's a huge disadvantage to third-party candidates.
Right. Because I'm sure there is no checkbox.
They don't have any partners.
Right.
On the ticket.
Right.
To attract enough attention most of the time. Oh, that's one we need to check too.
Which?
Fullerton.
Oh, I didn't even look. Hold on, I'll look. There's so many this time around. It's going to update in shortly. I think I scrolled too far.
It's just funny.
Fullerton. Do you know which? That doesn't really matter.
It's interesting.
Not fabulous.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to get back to watching results.
Okay. And maybe we can watch something that's not election for a little while.
Probably not.
That's unpleasant. Anyway, that's okay. I'll live with it twice every 2 years. Anyway, good night, everyone.
Hasta la bye-bye. Odie.
Hi, everyone. This is Mike, and I truly hope you enjoyed this show. You're able to subscribe to this show on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher so as to never miss an episode. If, by chance, you did miss an episode here or there, you can catch up on all shows, past and present, by heading over to yogispodcastnetwork.com/TNR show. Thanks for listening.